So, you know, I think there is a misunderstanding, and I've said this in other forums, that the Board of Elections is simply sitting on its hands waiting for good ideas to come, you know, from others, and we do nothing until we get a good suggestion. That's not true. It's a complex process. We have a lot of regulations that we have to deal with, not the least of which is the New York State Board of Elections has oversight over the election process for the entire state. So we cannot make a change to the system of the voting machine system without first getting state approval. So if the City of New York thought we had something great that we wanted to do, we have to present it to the state and then have the state approve it. One of the things that we did, and we got it done in a very compressed time period, a time period that usually takes a year for certification. We got certification on some new changes in 4 months, 4.5 months. And the changes that we got certified are, anybody here a poll worker? All right, poll workers. What's the bane of your existence at the end of the night?
Boy.
The numbers
Right?
taped to the wall.
Right? Well, the numbers taped to the wall, waiting for the results tapes to print before you can pull out the backup stick.
Yeah.
All right? Well, I have an announcement to make for you. All right? It just happened last week, so this is as hot off the presses as you can get. We got the governor's office, we lobbied the governor's office, myself and Ms. Sandow, the deputy executive director, to support us, and they did, to make certain changes. And one of the changes that is going to be, it's going to be in effect for this primary, but the training is not going to happen until after July 1st, you know, but it will definitely be in full force in effect for the September primary and the November general. You have the primary portable memory device, and I know this stuff gets a little bit into the weeds, but we got to explain it in order to explain it, right? And then you have a backup portable memory device. The way the system worked was, and they're essentially like flash drives that you plug into the computer. But we're assured that they're encrypted and you can't just buy them in Staples and use them. You know, that's what they tell us. But we hope that's the case. We believe it to be the case. But the way it used to work was the primary portable memory device accepted all of the voter information on the voted ballots. And you would have to print the results tapes from the primary portable memory device and then download it to the backup. What's going to happen now is it's going to simultaneously download the information at the close of polls, and you'll be prompted on the machine to do it with new messages. It's going to simultaneously download that information to the backup portable memory device, as well as the results tapes information is going to be stored internally in the machine, such that you can now print the results tapes from the internal memory card in the machine and pull out the backup and the primary while it's printing, which means that that can then be given to the police officers, and they can go upload that information into the system and get us the results. Now, you work at a busy polling place. How long does it take for those results tapes to print out?
Oh, I was there for over 2 hours.
Right. So now you're printing those results tapes out, right? And what's happening while the poll workers are waiting for the results tapes to print out, the results are not going anywhere. They're sitting there waiting until all that stuff happens so that you can then go give it to the police. We're now going to be able to give that to the police right away. And then, but you're still going to be printing up the tapes, right? But now, I got another one for you. There was a change in legislation. So you're doing your return to canvas at the end of the night. And you had to do all that math and plug all the numbers in. We have technology. Think about this. Think how backwards the system was. We have technology, and we have people writing the votes down by hand on a piece of paper. A little bit better than 4 lines in a cross-out, but not much, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to print the results tapes, and you're going to staple the results tapes to the return to canvas sheet, and that's your return to canvas. No more math, No more playing around with numbers. So we are doing things to improve the process. And more importantly than all of that, perhaps, is in addition to those changes, we're making changes to the way that the machine accepts the ballot. So, for example, if you made a mistake on your ballot because you were too light, or you filled in for more than one office, the ballot would go into the machine, and inside the machine is a read head, which is, basically reading this information. Well, it was going in too far and getting past the read head. So if for some reason you had to reject the ballot, it was getting hung up on the read head and jamming the machines, which we found was a full 50% of the jams was resulted to this. Well, now it's been adjusted so the computer sets the depth at which the ballot gets initially accepted to a certain point so that it doesn't get past the read head. And now if the ballot has to be rejected, it comes back out very easily. And to prove that to ourselves over the last week or so, we have literally been taking ballots and doing this, and then trying to straighten them out and putting them in, and even with an edge like this, they're coming back out without getting jammed. That's gonna help. You have a paper system with a machine, there's always gonna be some jams. You're never gonna get away with that completely. But this is something that's gonna help the voters when they go, because it'll speed up the process. The other thing that we've done that's going to speed up the process a little bit is one of the other things that we figured out with the jams, we'll call it the timid voter. When you're putting the ballot in and the people are a little afraid and they're not quite getting it there, the rollers would start to roll. But if you didn't do it within 2 seconds, the rollers stopped rolling and you got an error message. Now the poll worker has to come over and play around with the machine and get it all reconfigured so the person can do it again. That's been extended to somewhere between 15 and 20 seconds. So you're not going to get those, it's going to be there long enough so that when people put the ballot in, it'll just grab it. And with these new changes, we have been intentionally, over the last week and a half since we got the copy of the new version, we've been intentionally trying to jam the machines, and we haven't been able to do it. So that's, we're not throwing rocks in there, but we're trying to jam it in a way that might get jammed if somebody was at the poll site. So these are the kinds of things that we're trying to be responsive to. It's not very sexy, it's not very exciting to talk about, but it does promote the fundamental premise of our democracy, which is not only that people have the right to vote. Having a right is nice, but if you can't exercise that right, in an effective and an efficient manner, then it impinges on that right either intentionally or unintentionally. And I would submit to everyone here that inaction in the face of problems translates to intent, in my book. So if you sit there and you don't try to fix things knowing that it's not working right, then it's just as well as you may have done it on purpose. Right? So my father, God rest him, he's passed, be 31 years this year. And he used to say something to me when I was a teenager that aggravated the heck out of me, but it makes a lot of sense. Whether you commit the sin of omission or commission, the result is the same. Right? So if we're intentionally screwing up, which I don't believe we ever do, or on the other hand, if there's stuff that we could fix that we're not fixing, the end result is that we're not serving the voters the way that we should serve them. And so what I've been trying to do since I've been there is infuse a sense of purpose to the agency and a sense of, hey, we got to do this better. Come in today and expect that you're going to do things at least a little better than you did it yesterday. Because if you're not moving forward, you are, by definition, moving backwards, because everybody else is passing you, right? So, we're moving forward in a lot of different directions. There's some big picture stuff. A lot of what we do is minutia, like this kind of stuff, and going up to Albany and trying to explain to the powers that be that we really need your help, we really need your assistance. And the other thing, quite frankly, that we're doing now, we're in the midst of budget season, and we're really trying hard to get a more meaningful wage for a lot of our poll workers. I mean, we have 259 temporary employees that work on a full-time basis for the Board of Elections in the city of New York that earn $23,000 or less. And they have to work 1,525 hours before they're eligible for sick leave or before they're eligible for annual leave. We're not making the proper investment in our election process. And then we're expecting a big result. So, you know, we're working with the, with the current administration to see what we can do to get some resources, more for the employees, so that we can hire better quality folks and give a meaningful wage and a living wage to the folks that are working for us. Because the bottom line is these people are the ones that are protecting our democracy. You know, we're entrusting them with sensitive information, with voter information, with getting things done quickly, under pressure often, because a lot of these voter registration drives, et cetera, happen right in and around election time, and you don't want to deprive somebody the right to vote that's, you know, duly registered, but then you got to be able to process those registrations and get them done.